Hey, my name is Nick, and I work at Movil. And today I'm going to be talking about a side project of mine. And the idea started during a vacation, and I'm basically going to be talking a tale of how it started, how it came to the first app version, and then I'm going to be giving you tips and tricks along the way that helped me getting a lot of users there, and also staying sane at the same time. Uh, why doesn't it go? Okay, so the idea came during a skiing vacation, and a friend of mine and me, we wanted to go and play chess. And then when you play chess, you can also go and use like a chess clock. So you have like a limited amount of time that you can use for thinking. So for instance, every player has 5 minutes, and then while you're thinking, the time is running down. You make a move, you hit the chess clock, and then the time from the opponent is running down. So we already had like a chessboard, and we already knew how to play, but we were missing that clock. And then we went to the Play Store, and there are like a bunch of apps out there. And we looked at all of them, but really none of them satisfied us. So either the UI or the UX wasn't intuitive, it was very hard to use. Then for some of them, you only were able to go and play like with a certain time, so you weren't able to go and change it. Then the defaults, sometimes they were suboptimal, so you opened the app and then you didn't really, or like you weren't able to go and play, you had to go and change a few things. Some of them were displaying ads while playing, which is super bad because every now and then you glance at the clock and you want to go and look at your time, but then there's like an ad popping up. Also, some of them, they only had like a certain color scheme, so when you were playing outside, you couldn't really go and see anything on the screen because the sun was shining, and then it was also useless. So each and every one had their own advantage and disadvantage, but none of them really stuck out. And then I decided to go and sit down and brainstorm of what features are necessary and what features do I want to go and have inside that app, and also what features do my potential users want to go and have. And then from that, I basically derived and set down what are the things that I want to go and have, and what are the things that the competition has. So which features are really necessary? I don't need to go and have an app that is capable of doing anything. It needs to do one thing, and it needs to go and do that well. So typically, the saying is less is more. And then I basically looked at every single app from every competition that is out there, looked at each and every feature, which one was good, which one was unnecessary, and then you can also go and look at the reviews from users. So you can go and look at the Play Store listing and then go and look what users are asking for, take that into consideration, and then go and basically plan out what you want to go and do. And then from that, I made like a list of things that I want to go and have inside the app. I was comparing like with all of the input that I got from every app, which things are good, which things aren't that good. I compared it, I wrote it down. And then the important thing at the end is this is still a side project, so I'm still working 40 hours every week. So the expectation for the app that I want to go and do should go and match with the amount of the project that I want to go and do and the features. So it's rather unrealistic that I'm going to be developing the next Facebook app privately on the side. So go and focus on that small thing that you want to go and achieve, that one thing you want to do really well. And with that also comes the next point. So usually there's this one thing your app is doing, and that one thing needs to be done really well. So I call it like the center point. So if, for instance, in my case, it is viewing the time and be able to go and say when my move is done. So I click it, and then the time from the opponent is running. This is like the core essential feature of the entire app. If that one isn't working out, the entire app is crap. Like it's unusable because like the main convincing point for a user to go and use that app is to go and able to play chess. So this is the thing that I want to go and focus on first, and also want to go and be able to use first. So all of the other things like different colors or different timings, they're all important too, but that core principle that needs to be fully fleshed out. And once that is done, I can go and add features on the side and go and add more and more things. So then I sat down and I started coding. I focused on that center point. And the first version, it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to go and convey the point that you want to go and solve with that app. So you can go and prototype something, and then like over each iteration, you can go and make it better. And that inner circle or that center point is usually the thing where most of your users are going to be spending time on. So in my case, it was like I said, the screen where you can basically see the time, you can change the turn, and then that's also the thing that I started on first. So everything else, like settings, that all came later. And then once I have like that basic first version, I like to go and get feedback. So getting feedback is super important, and the earlier you're getting it, the more you can go and also pivot and make adjustments and changes to your app. And then what I like to do is before even showing the app to them is asking, hey, I'm doing this app for X, Y, and Z. What would you expect to go and do it? So you can already go and like briefly get some information, and that can also include things like what kind of app icon would you expect, which kind of colors, what kind of features, and you can write all of that down. And then once you have that, I basically go and prepare like an empty home screen. I only put my app on site there and nothing else, and I just hand them the phone to them. And then I'm not going to be able, or like I'm not going to explain the app to them, because in a real case scenario, your user is also going to be downloading it from the Play Store. You're not going to be standing next to them and be able to go and explain it to them. So I just hand them the phone, let them go and use it, and then I observe. And you can actually go and find quite a few things there. So if they open the app and they're confused, like they're looking at it for 10 seconds and they don't know what to do, that's already like an important clue or like an important point that you realize, because maybe that UI or that UX that you have implemented in the first version is not going to be that intuitive for them. So you can ask like, why were you confused? Why were you like waiting for 10 seconds? Maybe they were expecting to go and start the clock to be running down automatically or not. And then also while they're using the app, for instance, one of the things that I've seen a lot is that sometimes users are double tapping on an icon, so they click once and then they click again. So usually that indicates either there's like a touch feedback missing, so they were clicking that one time, but they weren't really sure whether something is going to go and happen or not. Or maybe there was like a delay or something, or there was like an animation missing. So you can already go and see that there might be something that you need to go and tweak. And all of those subtle things are going to be super important, because the more feedback you're getting and the more you're going to be able to eradicate those small, let's say, things that are not optimized, the more users are going to go and like your app and also going to be using it. And then from that, I derived like a to-do list, things that I wanted to go and improve. And then I wrote everything down. What I use is just a normal plain README file. I go and write what I want to go and change. And then once that is done, I go and remove it. So I don't use anything fancy like Trello or Jira. And basically now then I have that to-do list, and it's a lot of iteration now. So I go, I develop further, I get more feedback, then I develop further, and then at one point I'm going to be at the stage where I can actually go and really test the app. So what I use for testing is I always use different screen sizes, because being honest, we as developers, we usually have like the latest Pixel, which is like super big, has a nice screen, has also the latest Min SDK or like Target SDK, and everything is obviously going to go and run smooth on that version. But typically, your user, they're not going to be having the latest phone. So, and like the earlier you go and see those things that you can go and improve, the easier they're also going to be to go and change. So I like to go and use like a 4-inch screen size to go and test it. Maybe there's some text that's going to be too big, or that one list, maybe the scrolling behavior is kind of weird. I also like testing the app in different languages. So for instance, the German language is typically super long, so sometimes the text is like trimmed off at the end. And then just in general, don't always go and use the latest phone and the latest high technology, because your users aren't going to be able to go and use that either. And then the best way to go and really use the app is when it's like a real case scenario. So it's different if you develop in front of a computer and you just look, okay, that is done, I can go and move on. But in my case, when I was really playing with my friend, with my own app, there were a lot of things that were like bugging me. So usually that app is slightly like next to the chessboard, and then you have like a different viewing angle. So if you're developing, usually the phone is like right in front of you. So that font size, it might be enough in case you're like directly viewing on it. But if it's like slightly at an angle next to you, the font size might be too small. So like the best way to go and test the app is to use it in a real case scenario, because that's also the scenario where your users are going to go and use it. It's not like, or it's not always like directly in front of it. And then once I've tested everything, I made sure that everything is also running smoothly and is working on all different devices. I go and take a step back and look at that first experience. So the first experience is that moment when the user is going to go and open the app. And then that is the decision, like the first few seconds are going to be the most important for the user. They're going to decide whether they want to go and continue using that app or not. So the first app start needs to be perfect. And so what I like to go and make sure is that there are good defaults. Like the best case scenario is you download an app and you can use it right away for what you want to go and use it. The worst part is if you like need to sign up, you need to register, you need to onboard, you need to provide a lot of data to go and be able to use the app. Because we as users, we're lazy. Typically we download a few apps, we try out, and the ones that's like the easiest to use are going to be the one that we're going to be using eventually. So the next thing is the app icon, which is also super important, because app icon is usually the first thing they see. So if they go to the Play Store and they go and search for an app, the app icon is going to be the one that's standing out the most. So there, as I already said, you can go and get feedback earlier, like what kind of icon would you expect. You can go and also look at other app icons. What things do you like? What things you don't like? And I'm really bad at anything when it comes to UI-related things. So I typically go and also order an icon online by using Fever. It's like an online service where you can go and basically set some requirements, like you want to have different app icons, and then they should go and look similar to that, and they should be using those colors. And then you can use those different icons, also A/B test them, and you can see which one is performing the best. And the one that's performing the best might not be the one that you like the most, but it is going to be the one that users like the most. And then once we have like that app icon and we have our app done, we can go to the store listing. So store listing includes things such as the title, the short description, full description, screenshots, which are also super important. Change logs are also actually a big part, although it seems like everyone is neglecting them. Video might be also something that might be worth doing, and also the store listing itself can be, like in the developer console, you can use A/B testing to go and test out multiple store listings, and you can see which one is performing the best. So store listing for my app, so I have like a app name, which is called Chess Clock. This is also going to be eventually the name on the phone, but for the Play Store listing, you can use up to 50 characters. So you can use more keywords inside there, like I use time and games, and actually every app is doing that. So for instance, PayPal is using PayPal Fast and Secure Payment, so you can use those 50 characters to go and get more keywords. So if users are going to be looking for something related, you might be listed also there. And then screenshots are also super important. I'm also going to be talking how you can go and automate those later, so you don't need to go and be taking screenshots manually one by one. And then the store listing itself is like a text where you can also go and describe how your app works. You can also include other keywords there. And now, like once you have that initial store listing, it is marketing time. So marketing, usually we associate with Google Ads, and like I need to go and spend money on it, but I have not spent a single dime on marketing at all to go and get 400 plus daily new users. The only money that I spent was on the icons. So I paid $25 on a different set of icons, and that's like the only money I put into the app. So there's an online page called App Annie, and App Annie helps you by optimizing ASO. ASO is App Store Optimization. It's similar to SEO. So what it means is if you search for an app online, you usually use words. Those words, they are also called keywords. And then depending on the keywords you're using, or the keywords you're using, you might be ranked at the first position, which is then the best, or like the second position. So you can go and look at the Play Store listing also on App Annie. You can see the screenshots. You can go and see also the change logs for each version. You can see when the latest versions were released and whether you've been featured on the Play Store or not. And in general, once you can also go and dive deeper. So they also have like a list of keywords where your app is being ranked on. So for my app, the chess clock keyword, which is what I want to be ranked on, is the second place. And then there's also going to be other different keywords. And you can think of it, okay, if I were a user and I would want to go and use this app, what would I be looking for on the Play Store? So something with chess is always good, maybe something with timer, a clock or something. And then it's just like a constant back and forth between testing out different keywords and then making sure that you're always going to be ranked on top. So what I in the beginning did, I just, in the store listing, like in the full description, I put a few keywords. I was looking, okay, how are they performing? And then with the next app update, I was changing a few things, trying out different keywords. And you can also include the keywords in the change logs, which not a lot of people do. You can also include it in that short description, which is going to be briefly explaining the app, and also in the name of the app itself, which I also showed, which was Chess Clock Time Your Games. And then you can also go and click on a keyword, so for instance on chess clock, and you can go and look at other apps which are ranked. So you can go and look, for instance, the chess clock app from chess.com is ranked first for that keyword, and then you also go and see all of the other apps which are being ranked on that particular keyword. And then from there, you can also go to that particular app, and you can look at the keywords where that app is being ranked on. So for instance, the other apps, they might be using a keyword where I'm not being ranked at all. So what I'm going to be doing next time is I'm going to also go and include that in the store listing. So I'm making sure that I'm not missing out users that are going to be looking for that particular keyword, and my app is not showing up. And then at the end of the day, it's just like trying out a lot of different combinations and just making sure that you're always being on top. And then you can get organically users, because that's like the most important thing. You don't want to go and be spending money on that particular app. So it's easier if the users are coming for free to your app and going to be downloading it. And then you might also be getting already a few users, and they're always going to go and be coming from different countries. And then you can look where users are coming from, and then depending on the country where they're looking, where they're coming from, you can go and include the languages. So including languages is actually a pretty huge deal. It's going to go and also increase your downloads. And you can also go and make certain assumptions about the app. So that hardware, that chess clock, is $50 if you go and buy it. So my assumption is, and it turned out to be true, is that I get more downloads in countries which are not as wealthy, where people don't necessarily are able to go and afford that chess clock. So I can go and use that and leverage it by including the languages, as well as making sure that all of the devices that they are having are supported. So that, for instance, includes that I'm not just min SDKing to 27 because I can. So I actually min SDK 15, and with all of the latest support libraries and Android X, it's actually not that much of a pain to go and support. So it all boils down to understanding the requirements of the users and then making sure that everything is going to be working for them. So I also go and use some low-end devices to go and test it, and overall that helped me a lot to go and get users. Now I already touched this point briefly. I also want to go and include as many languages as possible. So I can start with that initial, because in the beginning you might go and get some downloads from certain countries, and then you can go and try translating the app into that language. And you can go and ask your friends to go and help out. So I did that in the beginning. I was asking, hey, do you mind like translating those 30 keys into the Spanish language? And that actually boosted a lot of the downloads for me. And then, so I did this, and then actually a user approached me. He wrote me an email and was asked, or he asked, hey, I would like to go and have this app in Portuguese. Can I go and translate it for you? And I was like, hell yeah, please do so. And then I turned out to go make a screen explicitly for this. So here's every language that is supported by my app. And also you can change the language by clicking on the flag. And then once I did that, more and more people approached me. So they liked like having their name there, and then half of the languages that you can see here are being translated by users, and they're doing it for free, which is pretty cool. And then once I have all of the translations, I can also go and get like a translated store listing and everything. And then that helped me like immensely getting more and more users, because not every country is speaking English language very well, and that's also not the first thing that you're going to be looking for if you're looking for an app. Usually, if you don't know an app, you're going to be looking for the term in your native language. So if that app is going to be translated in that language, it's going to be easier to go and find it. So go and just broaden the audience that you can go and serve, and then people are going to go and also download the app. So typically, some users are writing me, and then there's like a 50% chance after that initial email whether they want to go and translate it or not. Then the next important part are ratings. They're also super important. Everyone knows those 1-star this is shit rating that everyone is getting, but if you're actually being nice to the people that are rating your app, they are capable of changing the rating. So I received a lot of 3-star ratings which were like, oh, this app is great. And I was like, hey, thank you for the rating. Is there anything I can do better to get a 5-star rating? And then some of them, they actually changed the rating. So they changed it from like a 3-star rating to a 5-star. Or sometimes I also got like 1-star, I don't understand this app. And I'm like, hey, can I help you something? And I've also had a few cases where they were then deleting the review, and that in general just boosting the review on the ratings. And then the other thing you can do is you can ask inside your app in a non-intrusive way for a rating. So what you typically don't want to go and do is, if you're using the app and you want to go and use a particular feature, everyone knows that dialogue that is popping up and then asking you to go and rate the app. So in my app, I have a screen where there are different times that you can go and select to go and play. And then depending on a certain logic, I go and show like a card view. And I'm asking the user, hey, do you want to go and rate this app? And not a lot of people are actually clicking on that thing, but some people still do. I got a few ratings, but the good thing about it is that it's not disturbing the user. It is taking up some of the space on the screen, but the users can still go and use everything that they wanted to go and use. It's not like I'm distracting their navigation flow by having to go and cancel that dialogue. And then another thing that I have in the settings page is like I have rate the app, share the app, so which is like a generic, hey, do you want to go and test this app out, which is just like an intent with a normal text, which also some people are using. I also have like a deep link to more of the apps that I've done. Also that includes the languages screen where you can go and see what languages the app is translated in. And then you can also go and contact me. And then actually a lot of people are reaching out. They're like, hey, I would like to go and have this feature, or there's this bug that I found. And then it's just a general nice way of getting feedback. And then another way of getting feedback is also by using analytics. So I use FCM and Fabric Answers. And it's just nice to know what your users are doing, because at the end of the day, your users are going to download the app, but you have no way to go and know how they're going to use the app. So between every action that I do, or between every crucial point, I send like a tracking, and then I can go and analyze. Okay, maybe it's that new feature is not going to be clear. Not a lot of people are, for instance, what I added few months ago was a feature to go and add your own time, so you can go and say whether you want to go and play 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then I saw that some of the people they were wanted, like they started the process to go and create that process of adding your own time, but they didn't finish it. So I can go and try to understand by using different metrics how I can go and improve that process. And then once everything is said is done, there's the road down is up to you, the feature. So you decide what you want to go and proceed and how you want to go and do further adjustments. So what I do is I release an app update every 2 weeks. I'm also going to be showing you how you can go and automate all of that. And then it's just trying out different things, different keywords. Or you can go and add a new language. You can see whether that is going to go and boost your downloads or not. And in general, it's just like a lot of tweaking. And it's not necessarily like a lot of time that you need to go and spend on doing that. It's just like a regular thing. Like you work out every now and then, so you go and work on your app every now and then for an hour or two. So some metrics. Okay, the numbers. Oh, okay, it's not cut off. So 406 users. I got on. I think I took the screenshot last Friday around 10 p.m. So there was still some space. And as you can see, in general, I have about 400 daily new users, and then every now and then I also get up to 600, 650, depending on the day. And then also understand when it's more likely that your users are going to be using your app. So in my case, a lot of people are using it on Saturday and Sunday, where you can go and see that spikes of daily new users. And also during vacation time, I usually go and get a few more downloads, because people are more inclined to go and play chess when they're not working. And then based on that, you can go and make assumptions about certain metrics. So daily active users are around 1,300, 7.5 daily or weekly active, and about 25,000 monthly active users that I'm getting on the app. And then as for the engagement, they're spending about 43 hours per day, like overall every user, and like the average time is about 2 minutes, which makes sense because some people are going to go and download the app and they're not going to use it, and some people are using it to go and actually play a chess game, which is in the range of like 2 minutes between 10 minutes, depending on the time mode. Now with all of that, now let's go and see how we can automate as many things as possible, because we don't want to be spending a lot of things on the mundane tasks that we have to go and always go and do. So I like using Fastlane. You can install it by using the Jam package manager. Fastlane is like a bundle of tools. So it used to be like its own thing, and then it got acquired by Google. It got first acquired by Fabric, and then Fabric got acquired by Google. And they offer the same solutions for both iOS and Android. So you can use different tools. And the first one I'm going to be showing is Screen Grab. And Screen Grab is going to be able to go and take screenshots automatically in every language that you have. So this is like a brief overview. So I have 6 screenshots that I take and upload to Play Store, and I want to go and have these screenshots translated into the app, into the language of every language that I support. Because it does make a difference whether you're going to a store listing and you're going to be seeing the screenshots in your language, or whether it's always going to be in the default language. And then if you automate all of that, you can also go and make sure that you're always having the latest screenshots. So you don't need to like go do them because typically we do them by hand the first time and then we never update them again. And then like the expectation from a user is going to be different because they're going to be looking at that screen in the Play Store and it's going to be an entirely different app if they download it. So this is like only a small subset. So I have 19 different languages and I have 6 screenshots. That makes a total of 114 screenshots, which are generated for me and I don't need to do anything. So let's go and look how we can go and do that. So the first thing is Fastlane is using that screen grab file. You define the package name in which package also, like the package name from your app, and then also in which package your unit tests or like instrumentation tests are running. You can also go and decide to go and use the Android X unit runner, and then you basically provide the path for 2 APKs. One is the main APK, and then also the test APK. And then you can go and include every locale that you have, so every language that you want to go and be running against, and then taking a screenshot. And then you can also go and decide on which device type you want to go and run those screenshots. So you can go and run it on your phone, you can run it on your tablet, a 7-inch, 10-inch, and I also believe you can run it on the Wear. And then once you have that, Fastlane, they also have a runtime dependency that we'll be adding soon. They changed the locale and they need certain permissions for that. So you can just go and add those permissions for your debug variant, which you're going to be running for generating the tests. Then you can also go and add the runtime dependency from ScreenScrap, and then this is everything that needs to be done for taking one screenshot. So we have a normal instrumentation test. We run it with our Android JUnit 4 runner. We use the normal activity test rule that we also use for instrumentation testing. We fire up that settings activity, and then the first test is just going to go and take one screenshot with the name 1. And everything that you know from unit testing you can also use here. So you can use Espresso to go and navigate to a certain view. You can go and change the text. You can go and basically use the entire Android ecosystem that you have. You can use the UI automator to also go and find certain text. You can go dismiss permissions, dialogues, everything. And the last bit is a class rule from ScreenCrab. So that one is changing the language for you. And then this test is basically being run by Fastlane. So we go on the command line and we say Fastlane ScreenCrab. And then it's taking that configuration file that we put up there first. And then it's parsing everything and running the tests. So every time it's installing the APK, it's changing the locale to the one that you specified. In this case, I only ran it against the English locale. And then all of the screenshots are going to be generated for you. So you write that test once, you go and take a screenshot, and then Fastlane is taking care of changing the locale from every phone, or like you can also run it on multiple phones, and then changing the locale to everyone, or like to every locale that you have, and then taking that screenshot, and then it's also going to go and pull the screenshots from the device to your Mac. And as you can see, running that screenshot took about 5 seconds, and in general, the entire thing takes like probably that run took like 30 seconds, and if I go and run the full suite for like 19 languages in my app, it takes about 15, 20 minutes maybe, but that's time that is not consumed by myself. So I usually let it run and I go and do something else. So I don't need to go and be spending time on that. And the main benefits are that you always you get the latest screenshots, and it's just nice. And then the folder structure on your project is going to be like this. So they create a Fastlane directory, metadata, Android, and then for each locale, they're going to be creating an image directory with the phone screenshots, and then each screenshot is going to be pulled there. And that's also being supported. And now we can go and look at the next tool that they go and supply, which is called Supply. And that one is allowing you to go and update your entire APK or Android app bundle on the Play Store, as well as taking care of all of the text and the entire store listing. So here I go and use Fastlane init supply. So you don't need to go and, so typically we already have an app outside on the Play Store and we want to go and just automate also publishing. we can use Fastlane init supply to go and download everything on the Play Store that there is. So it will go and download all of the titles, all of the descriptions, all of the change logs from the Play Store listing, and then it's putting it into the same folder structure. The only thing it cannot download are screenshots. That's because there's no API from the Play Store that is offered to go and download those, but we just learned how to go and take care of the screenshots ourselves, so we can go and generate that. So you can run that, and then it's basically downloading everything. So in the beginning, you go and specify a package name, and then there's also an API mechanism that needs to be there. So you go to the Play Store, like to the Play console, and then you can go and create your own user, and that user is going to go and have like a public and private key, and then that you can export as a JSON file. You go and store it somewhere on your computer, and then you basically feed that into Fastlane so they can go and get access. So not everyone can go and download the store listing, only you can. And then also here there's the supply file. You also specify the package name of your application there. That JSON key where you're basically authorizing Fastlane to go and get access to the Play console on behalf of your account. And then you can specify the path to your Android app bundle, or you can also go and upload a normal APK. And then additionally, you can also go and specify the mapping file, so you don't need to go and upload the R8 or ProGuard mapping yourself. So Fastlane is taking care of all of that. So the store listing, this was the previous one where we were like running only the instrumentation test to go and also take the screenshots. And then after we initialized supply also with our app that is already on the Play Store, we can also go and get the feature graphic and the app icon itself. On the file system, we can also get all of the change logs. They're just using the version code that you're using for publishing your app. You can get the full description, the short description, the title and video. And the benefit of all of that is that it's all in your version control system. You can commit it. So you can roll back to any store listing that you might have had in the past and just go and you have like a deterministic store listing, which I like to go and have. And it's also much easier if you want to go and add new change logs. It's way easier if you are just on the terminal, you go and fire up Sublime or Android Studio, you go and change the change log, and then you can just go and publish that new version. It's much easier than going to the store listing on the Play console, switching between languages, and then updating like word by word. And then once that is done, you can use Fastlane supply, and they also have different parameters. So for instance, if the screenshots, they haven't changed, I also can go and decide to go and skip them. I can also go and skip uploading images, which does include the feature graphic as well as the app icon. And then there are like a bunch of options that you can go and use. And then at the end, they're going to be telling you, okay, I successfully finished the upload to Google Play, and it basically updated everything for me. All of the screenshots, all of the images, all of the change logs. It uploaded the APK in this case, or your Android bundle, depending on your configuration. It's also uploading the ProGuard mapping file, and it's just a nice, convenient way. If you're using both of those tools, you can actually go and release a new version of your app within a matter of minutes. You just go, hit the run button, and then you just go drink coffee or something, and at the end, it's going to be done, fully automated. So those are the tools that I go and use. And then lastly, in the end, use your own product. And it doesn't matter whether one person is going to use it or a million people are going to use it. Like the product you're building, use it yourself, be your own customer, and then if you're really building a great product, people are going to go and come naturally and want to go and use it. And that's all that I wanted to go and say. Thank you.